Okay, let's get started. So thank you everybody for joining this webinar today. We're here to talk about Windows 11, a peek through the window of the future, and mainly about what it will bring to businesses, and address some of the frequently asked questions that we've had from customers on transitioning to Windows 11. I'm here with Drew Braithwaite, who's one of the European sales engineering managers here at TOUGHBOOK in Europe. Drew, do you want to give you a quick introduction to yourself?
Yeah, so as Rach mentioned, I'm Drew Braithwaite. I'm one of the sales engineering managers in Europe, so I look after the UK and Nordics, but a lot of my focus is really on software and Windows and how that's deployed on TOUGHBOOKs.
Thanks. And my name's Rachel Pugh. I forgot to introduce myself, and I'm one of the sales enablement specialists at TOUGHBOOK in Europe as well. I look after solutions and services and also the public sector. But yes, so here today, we're here to talk about Windows 11. I know this is part of a series of webinars relating to the TOUGHBOOK G2, and that's actually because the G2 will be the first TOUGHBOOK device that will ship with Windows 11 pre-installed, hence the tenuous link here. But as mentioned, this session will very much focus on Windows 11 and what it will bring to businesses. So I'm just going to stop sharing this for a moment so that you can see myself and Drew in the full screen.
Oh,
So just to start with then, Drew, we all thought that Windows 11 would be the last version of Windows. So why is there now Windows 11?
I think, yeah, Windows 10 was going to be the last one.
Sorry, Windows 10. Yeah, sorry, I've got Windows 11 on the brain.
Windows 10 was going to be the last one.
Exactly.
Yeah, as Microsoft mentioned many years ago now, when Windows 10 came out, they made a big thing about Windows 10 being evergreen and it being a continually evolving operating system. I think Microsoft's probably now admitted that they've got to the point where they need a bit more of a step in between. So rather than just a feature pack update, as we've had maybe every 6 months since Windows 10 was launched, they now want to do maybe a bigger step. And with that bigger step means a new version of the OS, hence the Windows 11. Some of those bigger steps are things like enhanced security. There's obviously been a greater and greater focus on security, not just with online exploits, but obviously enterprise and data theft and all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Faster load times to get that device up and running quicker than ever before. Collaboration, connectivity, productivity, all these things that have become really important, especially collaboration over the last 2 years and making it easier for people to collaborate online and be productive. All those kind of new technologies that have come into Windows 11 now.
Okay, well, before we touch upon some of those related features, obviously you mentioned security. It's a hot topic, especially for business users. So can you talk us through some of the enhanced security features that Windows 11 brings?
Yeah, so some of it is, again, an evolution rather than a revolution from previous parts, but it all kind of breaks down into fundamentally protecting each of the individual components of the device that you're using. You've got most users will be using a line of business app, but that line of business app is based upon the operating system. It's based upon the hardware, the firmware that's running on the hardware, the user credentials, the user logon, the cloud, all these things. So Windows 11 does a new job of trying to protect each of those components and making sure nothing can get in between. So you used to have malicious code which would sit in between the firmware on the operating system, which would allow data exploits between before the OS loaded up. All these kind of parts now are better protected than ever before. So you have things like Windows Hello, so you have facial recognition for logon rather than a user having to remember a password. Again, you can steal a password, but it's very hard to steal someone's face.
Indeed, it
Device
is.
encryption, virtualization-based security. All these are really low-level technologies, which really detailed and technical, but they all work together in tandem to really protect your application and the data that you're using. And Microsoft's own research has shown that there were 60% fewer malware reports from devices using Microsoft 365 Defender to devices that weren't using that with one of the underlying technologies. So all this working together really can be shown to better protect the data and the computer, and obviously everything that goes with it. Windows 11 also supports things like TPM 2.0. That's a hardware requirement now in Windows 11, and before we used to have TPM 1.2. So all these little upgrades across the board all work together to make sure that the data and your device is more secure than ever before.
And Microsoft, sorry, they say that Windows 11 is a zero trust ready operating system. Can you can you explain a bit more what that actually means?
Yeah, and just feeding back into what we said earlier, really, zero trust is all about basically always authenticating, always verifying that person is who you think it is. So never just letting someone in because you saw that person yesterday, but that person has to log on again on new day. They have to log on again. That computer has to be rechecked to make sure it's all got its latest security policies. It's rechecked to make sure it's all patched correctly. And all this is done before you get access to any data. So zero trust is all, as the name suggests, not trusting anything, but re-verifying every single time before you give out any data.
Oh,
And
thanks.
as we said, Windows 11, has new levels of support for that.
Great, thanks. Thanks for explaining that. Okay, so in addition to the security, there's also a much cleaner user interface. Some examples of which I've got actually on the next slide. So let me just share this quickly. So here you can see an example of the snap screens that Windows 11 has. It's a pretty cool feature there. And then you can see also some screenshots here. So you've got the taskbar, which is in the center of the screen. You've got an updated Teams interface there as well, making it easier for you to share your screen. And then also you can manage your microphone from the taskbar here. This is one of the additional features, just, adding to that whole improved collaboration and sharing piece there that that Microsoft are introducing. So that aside, can you highlight any other features, Drew, that would be important to our business customers?
Yeah, well, I mean, as you say, Teams is now better integrated into it. So hopefully the history of people saying, "Can you hear me?" on Teams chat that we've had over the last 2 years will maybe not quite so much. But Windows 11 has some other features to do with battery monitoring, making it easy to track which apps are using your battery. That's for quite a long time been standard on the phones. That's coming now into Windows with a better level of detail, so that people can really make sure they get the best out of the battery.
Yeah, and also,
Um,
a lot of our users are, critical field workers. They
exactly.
can't have their battery running out in the middle of a shift. So yeah, this is quite a useful feature. So they can proactively, swap out those batteries when they're close to failing.
Well, not just proactively swapping out batteries, but also just making sure they get the most battery life out of the battery that's installed. If there's one topic that I've given support to customers for, predominantly over the last however many years, it's always network coverage with mobile carriers and battery life. No, I can't speak for Vodafone and O2 and everyone like that, but we can make an effort with battery
Mm.
technology to try and make sure that people get a full day's work, and beyond that, on their devices. So there's that. Windows 11 is also better streamlining the update process and making update files smaller. I think for enterprises, they've had to. It's been difficult trying to roll out feature updates every 6 months from Windows. I think many of you will have seen that Microsoft's now switching to a 1 year update cycle rather than every 6 months. So the updates are less frequent. But
But
also
they're
that
bigger,
update
right?
process, that update file is maybe in proportion is slightly smaller, but also the
Okay.
way it's installed is more streamlined and hopefully with fewer reboots required, which is obviously the bane of people's lives when they're trying to do some work and Windows pops up saying it needs to reboot to install updates. And probably the update that most people have talked about over the last 12 months was the announcement from Microsoft that they'll have Android application compatibility. That's been maybe the poster for Windows 11 almost everywhere that I've seen it so far. It's important to note that that's from Amazon Application Store. Presumably, Microsoft will work with other application vendors in the future. But for most application creators, then as long as they publish their app via the Amazon Application Store, that Android application will work on Windows 11.
Cool.
And obviously that's quite a big thing especially for customers who are looking to transition maybe from Windows to Android. It gives you maybe a 50% stepping stone on the way to transition, so they can test out those apps before making the full blown jump
Yeah,
with
definitely. They
between
can
hardware.
dip their toes in, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, you just touched upon transitioning, so let's talk about ToughBook now in particular. So, in terms of our ToughBook devices, which are going to be the models that will be first to roll out with Windows 11 pre-installed?
Well, as you said earlier, the FZ G2 is currently available with Windows 11 pre-installed, and shortly the next few months there'll be the CF33 and the FZ55 will be available with Windows 11 soon as well.
Okay.
Previous devices where there's hardware compatibility may have Windows 11 drivers available for customers to be able to update it themselves, but in terms of Windows 11 being pre-installed on the device, that's the FZ G2, FZ55, and the CF33.
And then what about any existing Windows 10 users? Will there be an upgrade available for them?
Funnily enough, yeah, as as we just mentioned, where there's hardware compatibility, basically yes. Microsoft published a list of hardware requirements some months ago now. Most of our products that are available with Windows 10 will probably be able to be upgraded to Windows 11, with the exception of very early devices. Where that's possible, at the moment, Microsoft allows you to do a free upgrade to Windows 11, which is a very similar process to when they released Windows 10. For those that choose to upgrade to Windows 11, there are driver packs available already for several devices, with more further support available over the next few months for other devices, as long as I said, that device meets the Windows 11 requirements.
And how will customers know that there's an upgrade available? Where can they get
Yeah.
it from? Yeah.
Microsoft will send notifications to ToughBooks, or eligible ToughBooks once validated for the free upgrade, or you can head straight to the Windows Update process yourself, and Windows Update will give you a nice advertisement for the Windows 11 upgrade.
And
obviously, that's quite a big download. Sorry, Rach, quite a big download to download Windows 11 over Windows Update, so it will take some time for the users that decide to do so, but that capability is there.
And obviously, we should stress that no field workers should download this upgrade without speaking to their IT department first, right?
That's a fair point, yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch upon, so obviously not all ToughBook devices will qualify for Windows 11 because there are certain hardware features that are required for certain for certain security features. What do you know what those features are?
The
Limiting
features that are
feature.
required.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so things like this, the 7th generation Intel chipset, TPM 2.0, and a screen larger than 9-inch, if I remember correctly. So there's some other ones, but those three are really the big three parts of it. You know, screen size, the TPM, and the chipset. Those three are the requirements for Windows 11, really.
Okay.
Um,
And if anybody's unsure, if any customers or partners are unsure, please reach out to your Panasonic account managers, and they can confirm that for you.
Yeah, Panasonic account managers can easily confirm it. And likewise, if you want to do it yourself in your own time, if you load up Windows Update and it doesn't offer you the upgrade to Windows 11, then your device most likely hasn't met the requirements for Windows 11.
Got it, got it. So obviously, there are going to be users who may have only just migrated to Windows 10. They won't be quite ready to upgrade just yet. So how will those customers manage?
Yeah, well, there's been quite a few customers that I know that have only updated to Windows 10 recently. There's good reasons for that. A lot of customers want to do their own approvals on Windows. They want to make sure that they've got everything in place, that it does what they need it to do. And predictably enough, obviously, some customers will take some time before they're in a place to be able to deploy Windows 11 out. The good news for them is that Windows 10 will be supported for a long time yet. Microsoft has already publicly committed, and it's on their website, that they'll support at least one feature update of Windows 10 until October 2025, which gives them another 3.5 years ish to finish that process. The vast majority of customers at the moment have already converted to Windows 10 after 3 or 4 years of Windows 10 being released. So I'll be rather optimistic that after 3.5 years, then again, the vast majority will be able to upgrade to Windows 11. For the customers that want to continue purchasing new hardware, but they want to stick with Windows 10, there's also capability there to do that. Devices can be purchased with a Windows 11 license and downgrade to Windows 10. For those of you that remember when Windows 10 was new, it's exactly the same thing again. So that gives you the opportunity to use Windows 10 pre-installed on the device, but because it's a Windows 11 licensed machine, it can be upgraded back to Windows 11 at a later time. All the same kind of features that you're used to in Windows 10, broadly speaking, management tools, application compatibility, all of these should be basically exactly the same in Windows 11. The foundations of Windows 10 and 11 are extremely similar.
Mm-hmm.
Things like autopilot for the customers that have decided to look into that. Again, exactly the same process works with regards to hardware hashes and device registration in Intune and autopilot. So there'll be Windows 10 support for a long time to come, and there'll be an easy transition path, hopefully, to Windows 11. I say very glibly.
Okay, thanks, Drew. So just to recap some of those key points there. So TOUGHBOOK G2 is already shipping with Windows 11. The TOUGHBOOK 33 and 55 will also ship with Windows 11 very soon, this spring. There's a Windows 10 downgrade available, and Windows 10 will be supported until October 2025. We've actually got a page on our website that lists a whole load of FAQs that you might have. So, if there's anything you didn't quite remember from this webinar, feel free to visit our website where you can see all the information on there. Hopefully it will open now. If you go to toughbook.eu, sorry, it's very slow loading. If you go to toughbook.eu and if you click the products and services navigation option at the top of the web page, you'll see it down on the bottom right. There's a dedicated page for Windows 11. So yeah, hopefully you can get the information you need from there. And if it's not on there, feel free to contact us. So let's just quickly, before we finish, check whether there is any questions. So no questions in the Q&A. Let me check the chat. And no chat either. Okay, so great. We must have given
Perfect.
everything people needed to hear, Drew. That's good news. So just to
I was just going to say, suffice to say, if you have any questions, if people think of any questions later, then I'm more than happy to take them offline later as well by email or through your Panasonic representatives.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, thanks, Drew. That's great. Thanks for your input there. And thank you everybody for joining. You may have noticed that this webinar was actually one of a series of webinars relating to the G2. Last week we had one around the 5G subject. Obviously this one was all around Windows 11. So please join us for the next two. Next one on the 13th of April is how to drive more value from your fleet. So this is around the vehicle docking and vehicle integration of the G2. And then finally on the 26th of April, get your ideal device for an agile workforce. So this is all about the modularity and the customizations related to the G2. So hopefully you can join us for those. There's a link here to a registration page. Hopefully you'll have seen our LinkedIn and Facebook posts that can take you to the registration page. And if you missed the last session, keep an eye out in your inbox because we will be sending out links to the recordings very soon. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining us. I hope you've had a good day so far, and I wish you all the best for the afternoon. Thanks, Drew.
Thanks so much, everyone. Thanks, Rach.
Bye-bye.